Breaking news. A Cheeto and some emails have caused some problems in the White House.
That is tomorrow's story, Karen. Today's story is the process of photosynthesis.
The first step of photosynthesis is the light-dependent reactions, and this happens in the thylakoids. It starts with light and water. Light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll. The plant absorbs water from the roots and it travels up the stem into the leaves. This capillary action allows this to happen. The light then strikes the water and splits it into hydrogen and oxygen. The plant releases oxygen through the stomata. Hydrogen is pumped into the inner membrane of the thylakoid. Hydrogens then build up and move through the ATP synthase. ATP is also known as adenosine triphosphate. And the ATP synthase, those are the proteins in the membrane. The movement causes the ATP synthase protein to generate energy, ATP. The hydrogens that have moved across the membrane combine to NADP and forms NADPH. NADPH is an energy carrier. The hydrogens that have moved across the membrane combined to NADP and form NADPH. This stage ends with oxygen, ATP, and NADPH. They are all energy carriers. The next stage is the light-independent reaction.
The next cycle is the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle happens in the stroma. This starts with ATP, NADPH, and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide then gets ripped apart and rearranged using ATP energy. Carbon dioxide was brought in through the stroma. NADPH gives up hydrogens which bond to the carbon and oxygen, making glucose. This takes 2 cycles to produce glucose. ATP and NADPH are then recycled back to the light-dependent reaction.
Now I'm going to explain why photosynthesis is important to humans and plants. Photosynthesis is how plants make their own food. It's also how they output oxygen for us to breathe. If the plants didn't make their own food, they would never give us oxygen, and therefore we would not be able to live. Therefore we would all die, and the plants would also die because we would not give out carbon dioxide for them to breathe. Now I'm going to explain the relationship between the light cycle and the Calvin cycle. The light cycle ends with ATP and NADPH, while the Calvin cycle starts with NADPH and ATP. This forms the whole process of photosynthesis.